Greetings, humans. It's me, Bob Harris, Senior Editor of FootballDiehards.com. Time for the Saturday Injury Review Preview Update Overview. The thing we like to do each week. This is part 2 this week. Had the Saturday games. I covered those in a Friday video. I'll do that again next week with the triple header, so watch for that if you missed the one this week. This one will be strictly focused on the Sunday and Monday games, so we'll get everything you need to know out in front of you. As always, things will change. You'll need to check the late-breaking updates section of the site or use the FSP staff rankings where you'll find links to all the latest information right with the player's name and the notes listed next to the player. And you'll see, wow, why is that player so low? Well, probably because something's going on. So check there. Also, check back right up through kickoff on all these guys, especially the ones listed as questionable here, to make sure they're active or not active. We'll have all that information in the late-breaking updates section of the site. I'll have that on the pregame show with Jeff Manns as well on SiriusXM Fantasy Sports Radio. Emil and Brady will have that in the pregame video. If you check that out every week here on the website, great way to get up to speed and set your DFS lineups, understand ownership percentages, and all that fun stuff. So let's get into this. We'll start with the Sunday early afternoon window. A lot going on this week. The Dallas Cowboys hosting the San Francisco 49ers. Ezekiel Elliott listed as questionable. He's expected to play, just like he played last week against Cincinnati. Kind of gave way to Tony Pollard in this one, right? Interestingly, Mike McCarthy basically said on Friday that he doesn't think Elliott's, any better. Sounded like he hinted that he might not be as good. So this is one to watch. Tony Pollard, great playmaking threat, but it's hard to play a guy like that not knowing how much playing time he's going to get. Maybe Elliott comes out and feels great. You're not going to know until game time. So if you're going to play Elliott, just maybe set the expectations a little lower. Worth noting, they did elevate a practice squad running back early Saturday just for depth, so maybe foreshadowing something. Deebo Samuel on the other side of the ball ruled out, unlikely to play again this season, or at least until it seems unlikely. Hurt the hamstring on the first play last week, opening the door. Brandon Ayuk remains a great play, especially at this matchup this week. George Kittle designated to return from IR. It won't be this week. Could be next week though, so watch for that. Detroit Lions at Tennessee take on the Titans. Matthew Stafford listed as questionable with the rib injury he suffered last week. Looked very painful, right? Apparently it was. He didn't practice much this week. He did get on the field a little bit Friday. The latest reporting is he's going to try to give it a go in this one. So that'll be something to watch in the 90 minutes leading up to kickoff to verify that. But it seems like he will play. That's probably decent news for guys like Marvin Jones Jr. Chase Daniel will be standing by if for some reason Stafford can't go or is hurt in the game. And Kenny Goliday has been ruled out again, missing his 7th straight game. There's now talk about shutting him down the rest of the season, probably because he's missed 7 straight games and there's only a couple left. So there's that. On the other side of the ball, Jeff Swain, the tight end who will occasionally catch a touchdown, listed as questionable with an ankle injury. A.J. Brown was on the injury report earlier in the week. As always, ends up on Friday. Seems like good to go. This time it is the ankle. It had been the knee in the past, the hip in the past. This time the ankle. If you watched the game last week, you saw it get twisted a little bit. So he should be good to go. Great matchup for him and Corey Davis and Ryan Tannehill and Derrick Henry and everybody involved. On the, let's see, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at Atlanta. Ronald Jones won't play this week on the COVID reserve list. Also had surgery on a pinky finger that he broke in last week's game. Had pins inserted, so wasn't certain he would play either way, but the COVID list keeps him out of it. Ryan Suckup, the kicker, will play. He had got on the COVID list, but apparently a close contact, but it was a false positive of close contact, so he's off the list. All the punter and long snapper as well, so they'll all be available. On the other side of the ball, no Julio Jones. So Todd Gurley's up, right? Calvin Ridley's up. Todd Gurley, I don't know even why we talk about him much anymore. Matt Ryan's been struggling a little bit, so you would think Calvin Ridley is like the playable commodity here with Julio Jones out. Miami Dolphins taking on the New England Patriots in Miami. A lot of guys on this list, so let's get through it. Salvon Ahmed listed as questionable with the shoulder. Devontae Parker questionable with a hamstring. Jakeem Grant questionable with the hamstring. Mike Gesicki questionable with the shoulder. Gesicki got back on the practice field Friday. It seemed like a bit surprising. It looked like he would maybe miss a little time with this. So the reporting is he's battling to get into this game. So we'll see if he does or not. I think he's the shakiest of all these. I think Parker and Grant probably good to go. Ahmed practiced in a no-contact jersey on Wednesday and Thursday. Lost that on Friday. Still worked on a limited basis. Remember, Matt Breida comes back too. He's off the COVID reserve list. Says he's ready to go 100%. So a little convoluted situation there. DeAndre Washington's still there. Lynn Bowden Jr. still in the mix at receiver, running back / so a A lot of moving pieces there, but I would expect Parker and Grant to play, and I'd be watching for Ahmed and Gesicki in the pregame announcements. On the other side of the ball, Damian Harris ruled out on Saturday. Didn't turn up on the injury report Wednesday, and some of the local observers were surprised. I think he left the last week's game with a back issue. Turned up on Thursday with an ankle, and now he's ruled out on Saturday. James White listed as questionable, so maybe Sony Michel gains a little traction this week in this game with Harris out. Nick Folk listed as questionable as well. He's been kicking through the back issue. I don't think he's missed any games or any time, just limited in practice every week. Julian Edelman designated to return from injured reserve. The reporting from the Boston Globe is he will not do that this week. I'm recording this right at the deadline for, the roster deadline for some of this news. Maybe it's happening while I speak. Again, if I'm talking about someone, check the late breaking updates section to make sure nothing has changed. So there we have that. And in particular, let's say the Seahawks. That's one to watch because Rashad Penny is designated to return from IR 2 weeks ago or last week. He practiced all week, has practiced all this week. The reporting earlier today was that he would be activated and perhaps see some playing time. I don't think I'd be worried if I was, playing Chris Carson. This seems like, Carson's job, and Penny would maybe be more of a threat to Carlos Hyde's role. And I don't know how much of that he would be his first week back. So I know Austin Eckler came back from IR and just killed everybody. So I don't think Penny has that similar role, but it's something to watch. Greg Olsen, also designated to return, seems like he's more of a long shot to return. So check the late breaking updates section on Penny throughout the day and up to tomorrow to see if he is activated, what kind of role he might have. I'll be looking for more. On the other side of the ball, Alex Smith won't play. He's ruled out. Dwayne Haskins Jr. will get the start. Antonio Gibson listed as doubtful. Expect J.D. McKissick and Peyton Barber to continue carrying the load. You have to wonder with Haskins in there, he seems like more likely to push the ball down the field a little bit more, fewer dump-offs, it seems like to me. Maybe Terry McLaurin can get back on track. He's got a couple bad weeks. But either way, it's great matchup. Dwayne Haskins kind of makes it all a little more worrisome for everybody involved. The Baltimore Ravens hosting the Jacksonville Jaguars. And Miles Boykin, Marquise Brown, James Proche, all on the COVID list. John Harbaugh says they're expected to come off that list prior to the game. So I'm guessing that will happen sometime later Saturday, early Sunday. That'll be something to watch for. It's a great matchup, right, for everybody involved. Lamar Jackson, Marquise Brown is back. That secondary is decimated by injuries. Good matchup for the running backs as well. So Dobbins, Edwards, J.K. Dobbins, Gus Edwards seem like good plays as well. Mark Ingram's kind of disappeared, hasn't he? Lamar Jackson, okay. Mark Andrews, everybody. On the other side of the ball, Gardner Minshew returns as the starting quarterback for the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe that's like, I don't know. It's DJ Chark has been heavily targeted, hasn't been catching a lot of his targets. Anyway, James Robinson was on the injury report early in the week. He came off at the end of the week, so he's good to go. As is Tyler Eifert, America's tight end, back in the mix. No, he was never out of the mix, but not a huge role. All right, the Houston Texans at the Indianapolis Colts. Duke Johnson and C.J. Prochase not making the trip to Indianapolis. They've been ruled out. Happened earlier Saturday. David Johnson is back from the COVID list, so he'll be the lead back. Buddy Howell sitting there to chip in. Brandon Cooks off the injury report this week. Tough matchup for those guys. Set your expectations accordingly. Other side of the ball, Mo Alley Cox, the only guy on the injury report with the designation. Questionable with the knee issue, so, wouldn't be counting on him. Probably have some other options at tight end, hopefully. Phillip Rivers with the toe injury off the injury report as he has been late each week, but reportedly will need surgery after the season. The Minnesota Vikings hosting the Chicago Bears. Alexander Mattison is questionable, 2 weeks removed from an appendectomy. Sounds like he could be back in the mix, but obviously working behind Dalvin Cook. Not a lot of room for work there. Kyle Rudolph has been ruled out, so maybe another Irv Smith, Tyler Conklin week. Jimmy Graham on the other side of the ball listed as questionable. He seems to have fallen behind Cole Kmet anyhow. That takes us through the early afternoon window. The late afternoon window, we have the Chiefs at the Saints. Drew Brees is back, baby. He is in the mix and will start at quarterback. You have to wonder if there won't be some packages, just like there were before for Taysom Hill and goal line situations in certain situations. But either way, Brees' return can't be viewed as bad news, right? Especially if you're an Alvin Kamara investor. I have an article up on the site that talks about the target totals and percentages with and without Brees and with and without Hill. And it talks for itself. The bad news is there is no Michael Thomas. He has been ruled out and placed on IR. He will miss the rest of the regular season. They hope to have him back for the playoffs. That doesn't help you in your playoffs. So bad news there. Emmanuel Sanders, Traquan Smith move up in the rotation. On the other side of the ball, everyone's good to go for the Kansas City Chiefs, so good news there. The Arizona Cardinals hosting the Philadelphia Eagles. Chase Edmonds listed as questionable for this game. True game time decision. They've been saying this since Wednesday, so he's got what? I think it's an ankle injury. Yes. Zane Gonzalez will not kick this week. It'll be Mike Nugent again, second straight week for that. On the other side of the ball, everyone's good to go. Jalen Hurts continues as a starter, so we have that going for us. The New York Jets are traveling to Los Angeles to face the Rams, and I think it's the Rams are 17.5-point favorites or something in that range. Not without good reason. Jamison Crowder listed as questionable, expected to play. LaMichael Pirine was designated to return from IR, has yet to be activated. That'll be something you'll need to watch in the late breaking update section if they get that announcement out to me here. I'm watching notifications come in and making sure none of these things are changing as I'm speaking, so we have that going for me. And so on the other side of the ball, everyone's good to go. Cam Akers seems to be gaining traction as the lead back here. Great matchup for the running backs. Great matchup for Jared Goff. Pretty much great matchup for everybody on the Rams side of the football, and not so much so for everybody on the Jets side of the football. If you're looking for positives there, I think this is one of the rare occasions when they hope to have Jamison Crowder, Denzel Mims, and Brashad Perriman all on the field at the same time with Sam Darnold. I'm not excited either. All right, the Sunday night game, Browns at the Giants. Daniel Jones listed as questionable. The reporting Saturday, multiple reports saying that Colt McCoy will get the start against his former team, with Freddie Kitchens, the former head coach of the Browns, calling the plays with Jason Garrett out on the COVID list. But either way, Colt McCoy expected to start with Daniel Jones now dealing with hamstring and ankle injuries. Evan Engram added to the injury report on Friday with a calf issue. That's worrisome. Other pretty good matchup for him, but not sure he'll be able to cash in on it. On the other side of the ball, Austin Hooper is questionable with a neck issue. David Njoku added on Friday with a knee problem. Kadero Hodge questionable, closer to returning from his hamstring. Donovan Peoples-Jones has kind of established himself as the wide receiver 3 there. We'll see if Hodge can work his way back in the mix if he's active. Those will all be situations you need to watch. Monday night's game, Brandon Allen has been ruled out, the quarterback who is replacing Joe Burrow, so Ryan Finley is back in as the starter. Not an exciting development. On the other side of the ball, James Conner listed as questionable with a quad injury. Steelers haven't been running the ball well. This looks like a matchup that would allow them to get well, but Conner is questionable. So there you have that. Monday night kickoff makes that a little difficult. So there you have it, everybody, as I choke a little bit. Check back on the site often, right? Check back. We got videos. We've got audio content. The podcast is up. Tons of written columns for you. DFS, John Lobb, the scholar, has his stuff. Kyle Dvorak, Justin Linero, myself, Gary Davenport. Brad Cruz, one of the great high-stake players in the nation, has his starts. We have Matthew Sharon, Evan Tarciano early in the week with the free agent moves. Tons of DFS content, including ownership percentages, pricing, lineup optimizers, pretty much everything you need to get this ball rolling, people. So have at it. I know those of you in your season-long leagues, this is really important to you, and we'll be on point and try to get everything up to you as in as timely manner and as accurate and focused as we can. Again, you can hear me on the on the SiriusXM pregame show Sunday 11 to 1 with Jeff Mans. Tune into the Diehards pregame video with Emil and Jason, and get schooled up, get ready to go. Let's win some games. Good luck this week.